The galaxy was vast and endless, a sea of stars where alliances were forged and broken like fragile glass. Humanity had always believed in the bonds it made, fighting side by side with the Valdari, the Seraphine, and the Kryn. Together, they had faced threats that could have swallowed planets whole. But now, as Captain Alara Vance stood on the bridge of the battleship Aegis, all those promises seemed like whispers lost in the void. Through the viewing port, she watched the empty space where Allied fleets should have been. The Valdari, whose ships shone like silver comets, had retreated after their homeworld was attacked. The Seraphine, proud and secretive, vanished without a word, leaving entire sectors unprotected. The Kryn, once fierce and loyal, sent a single message that burned into Alara's mind. Humanity cannot be saved. We protect ourselves first. Alara felt her chest tighten. She had trusted these allies. She had shared victories with them, laughed with them, mourned with them, and now in the darkest corner of the galaxy, humanity was left alone. Her eyes scanned the bridge, meeting the faces of her crew, some pale, some with tears glinting in their eyes, all staring at the empty space where help should have been. The AI's calm voice broke the silence. Captain, sensors detect incoming Shadow Swarm vessels. Estimated strength 600 units, 600. Alara's jaw tightened. Her fleet numbered barely 70. The odds were terrifying, the kind of odds that had crushed other species before, but she refused to let fear take root. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. Status report. Lieutenant Miko, her communications officer, hesitated, then said, All Allied channels are silent, Captain. They've completely withdrawn. The words felt heavy, like stones dropped into the hearts of everyone on the bridge. Humanity's reputation as a steadfast protector, a force that could stand against impossible threats, was about to be tested in the cruelest way. Alara stepped forward, her voice firm yet quiet, carrying the weight of determination. Then let them go. Let the others walk away. Humanity will stand, alone if we must. Her words seemed to ripple through the bridge, through every heart on board the Aegis. For a moment the despair hung thick, but slowly it gave way to something stronger. Resolve. Humanity had been abandoned, yes, but they were not defeated. Outside the Shadow Swarm loomed, black and alien, its ships moving like a living nightmare. Every human vessel felt fragile, a small flicker of light against an ocean of darkness. But in that moment, Alara saw something the galaxy's allies had underestimated: human courage, human ingenuity, and an unyielding spirit. Prepare all defenses. Launch countermeasures. Bring every system online. If they want war, they will find we have been waiting, Alara commanded, her voice steady, unwavering. The crew moved with a precision born of necessity. Engineers ran through corridors, rerouting power, sealing breaches. Weapons officers loaded plasma cannons and torpedoes, their hands steady despite the fear gnawing at their hearts. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, but nothing like this. Nothing had ever tested them as much as being utterly alone against the galaxy's deadliest enemy. As the first Shadow Swarm vessels entered firing range, the Aegis's engines roared, casting long shadows across the deck. Humanity was alone, yes, but not powerless, not broken, not defeated. Alara walked along the bridge, stopping by each officer. She did not speak of fear or doubt. She spoke of courage, of duty, of the fact that humanity's strength had always been more than ships or weapons. It was in the hearts of those who refused to give up. The stars outside shimmered coldly, but within the Aegis a fire burned brighter than any supernova. Humanity had been abandoned by friends, rejected by allies, and left to face annihilation alone. And yet there was hope, stubborn and fierce. Alara turned back to the viewing port, meeting the darkness with unwavering eyes. Then let them see, she whispered to herself. If humanity stands alone, then humanity stands. The crew felt it too, a quiet but powerful truth settling over them. Abandoned, yes. Scared, yes. But they were human. And humans, as the galaxy was about to remember, could not be broken. The first shot rang out like thunder in the quiet of space. The Shadow Swarm moved with terrifying precision, hundreds of ships slicing through the darkness like predators hunting prey. Humanity's fleet, small and battered, braced itself. Every human aboard the Aegis feeling the weight of impossible odds pressing down on them. Captain Alara Vance gripped the rail, her eyes locked on the approaching nightmare. All stations, report. she commanded, her voice firm over the bridge intercom. Lieutenant Miko's voice trembled slightly as he answered, "Shields are holding, Captain, but just barely. Enemy vessels are closing fast and their firepower is overwhelming." Alara nodded, her jaw tight. "Then we hit harder. We fight smarter. Humanity does not bend. Humanity does not run." The crew moved with quiet determination. The torpedo bays opened, plasma cannons flared, and the first human ships surged forward. Explosions lit the void as human fire met alien precision. Every hit against the swarm felt like a small miracle, a victory carved from fear. The Aegis shuddered as it took its first hit. Alarms blared, red lights flashing across the bridge. Sparks flew and smoke curled from damaged panels. Engineers worked feverishly, sealing breaches, rerouting power, and keeping the ship alive. Every second mattered, every life counted. Ilara's voice cut through the chaos. "Do not hesitate. Each ship you save, each enemy you strike is a statement. Humanity does not surrender." The human fleet fought with a combination of speed, unpredictability, and sheer courage. They were smaller, but they were clever. Human pilots twisted and darted between enemy fire, drawing the swarm into traps and ambushes. Torpedoes streaked like comets. Plasma blasts tore through alien hulls. And slowly, the humans began to find gaps in the swarm's coordination. Miko's hands flew over the controls. "Captain, they're adapting to our moves. Each strike we make, they counter faster. They're learning." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Then we will learn faster. Human creativity is our weapon. We are not just ships. We are minds, hearts, and willpower. Strike with everything you have." In the engineering deck, Chief Engineer Rena shouted over the clamor, "We're holding, but only just. Shields at 40%, hull integrity dropping." Ilara's voice, calm and resolute, reached them through the comms. "Do not falter. Humanity's edge is not technology alone. It's the refusal to give up. Fight, adapt, survive." The swarm flagship emerged, massive and dark, bristling with weaponry that could obliterate a dozen human ships at once. It was a moving fortress, the heart of the enemy fleet. But the humans did not waver. They focused their attacks, targeting the flagship with every torpedo, every laser, every ounce of courage. Around the Aegis, the battle raged. Ships exploded. Debris floated like deadly snow through the void. Crew members screamed, shouted orders, and prayed silently. Yet, even as humans fell, their comrades pressed on, turning fear into fuel, chaos into strategy. "Captain, incoming swarm strike! Shields won't hold," Miko yelled, panic creeping into his voice. Ilara's eyes burned with determination. "Hold them. Use their momentum against them. Draw them closer. Humanity survives because we fight even when we have no hope." The Aegis twisted through the void, narrowly avoiding annihilation. Human tactics, though desperate, were brilliant in their unpredictability. Small squads flanked the swarm, torpedoes struck weak points, and the alien fleet staggered under the unrelenting human assault. Outside, space was a storm of light and fire. Explosions lit the darkness, and every human ship carried the weight of a species refused by its allies. Humanity had been abandoned, yet they pressed on. Alone, yes, but not defeated. Ilara looked at her crew, at the humans who refused to break, and her heart swelled with pride. This was more than survival. This was defiance. Humanity would show the galaxy that even when every hand turned away, even when hope seemed gone, they could stand. And in that moment, as the first swarm ships began to falter under concentrated human fire, a spark of victory flickered. Humanity had struck back. Humanity had survived the first storm, and the galaxy would learn, painfully and undeniably, that humans could never be underestimated. The battle stretched across the void, endless and chaotic, yet every human crew moved with purpose. The shadow swarm was terrifying, its ships massive and unyielding, yet the humans fought with a combination of courage, wit, and sheer audacity. Captain Ilara Vance watched from the bridge of the Aegis, her eyes scanning the star-filled darkness as if she could see every move the enemy would make before it happened. "Captain, the swarm is adapting faster than we predicted," Lieutenant Miko reported, his hands flying over the controls. "They're anticipating our formations, predicting our attacks." Ilara clenched her jaw. "Then we change. Humans are unpredictable. We are chaotic. Let them try to anticipate what we will do next. We fight with our minds, not just our ships." She ordered a squadron of nimble human fighters to weave between the swarm vessels, drawing them into traps. Plasma torpedoes streaked through space and human ships executed daring maneuvers that seemed impossible. Each small victory, each enemy vessel destroyed, ignited a fire among the humans. They were small, fast, and clever, and the swarm could not fully predict their movements. In the engineering bay, Chief Engineer Rena barked orders as sparks flew from overloaded circuits. Divert all auxiliary power to the shields. We'll need every joule of energy if we're going to survive this strike. The humans adapted faster than the swarm could. When a ship was critically damaged, crews stripped it for parts to repair others. When an attack pattern became predictable, pilots changed course mid-flight, catching the aliens off guard. Each decision, each human instinct, gave the fleet an edge no AI could replicate. No alien could foresee. Alara directed the fleet personally, guiding them toward the swarm flagship, the enormous black vessel at the heart of the enemy armada. It is the command ship, she told Miko. Destroy it and we disrupt their coordination. Every human ship counts. Every human mind counts. This is our advantage. We have something they don't, the human spirit. The swarm was relentless, though. Alien ships swarmed around the humans, weapons firing with perfect accuracy. Explosions rocked the Aegis, shaking the bridge, filling the air with smoke and the smell of burning circuits. Crew members shouted orders, worked on emergency repairs, and stayed on their stations despite the fear that clawed at their hearts. Alara walked among her officers, her voice calm and firm. Fear is normal. Courage is choosing to fight anyway. Remember who we are. Humanity stands alone, but humanity stands. In a daring maneuver, a small human strike team boarded one of the swarm's cruisers. The creatures inside were grotesque, half organic, half machine, moving and attacking with precision. But the humans adapted, improvising with tools, weapons, and sheer willpower. They turned the alien vessel into a trap, sacrificing it to destroy several swarm ships in one brilliant strike. The Aegis led the charge, weaving through enemy fire, targeting weak points, exploiting gaps in coordination. Every explosion, every fallen swarm ship was proof of what humans could accomplish when cornered. Alara's heart pounded, not with fear, but with pride. She looked at her crew, humans working tirelessly, risking everything, refusing to bend. They were not just soldiers. They were symbols of a species the galaxy had underestimated. Every strike, every maneuver, every life sacrificed was a message. Humans may be alone, but they were unstoppable. Hours turned into days, yet the humans never faltered. They learned, adapted, and pressed forward. They used cunning, ingenuity, and the unrelenting human spirit to carve a path through the endless darkness of the swarm. From the bridge, Alara saw the swarm flagship begin to falter under concentrated attacks. She allowed herself a brief moment of hope, knowing the battle was far from over. We are the storm they never expected, she whispered. The galaxy will remember this day. And even as the swarm fought back with all its might, the humans pressed on, relentless, fearless, and brilliant. Alone, yes, but with a power no alien had ever reckoned with, the heart of humanity. The battle raged on, relentless and unyielding. Stars were torn apart by plasma fire, and debris floated silently through the darkness like the ghosts of destroyed ships. On the bridge of the Aegis, Captain Alara Vance's hands never stopped moving, guiding her fleet with precision and courage. Yet beneath her calm exterior, she felt the weight of loss pressing on her heart. Status report, she called out. Voice steady but tense, Lieutenant Miko's face was pale. Captain, we've lost 10 ships in the last hour. Casualties are high. Many crew members are trapped or missing. Alara swallowed hard, but she did not falter. We honor the fallen by fighting harder. Humanity does not break. We do not give up. Every life lost strengthens our resolve. Around the Aegis, the human fleet moved like a single organism, each ship protecting the other, each crew member risking everything. Engineers patched hulls mid-battle. Medical teams moved through corridors of smoke and fire to save the wounded. And pilots flew into the heart of the swarm, knowing that death could strike at any second. In the engineering deck, sparks flew from overloaded circuits. Chief Engineer Rena shouted, "We can't hold the shields for much longer. Diverting all remaining power, but we're on the edge." Alara's voice came through the comms, calm and commanding. "Do it. Humanity survives because we are clever and fearless. Keep them alive. Keep fighting." Every second matters. The humans' courage was matched only by their ingenuity. A small strike team, led by Lieutenant Kara, rammed their vessel into a swarm cruiser, detonating explosives that destroyed several enemy ships in one brilliant sacrificial move. The Aegis itself maneuvered dangerously close to the flagship, using its own bulk as a shield to protect smaller vessels, taking hits that would have destroyed any other fleet. In the chaos, Ilara walked among her officers, stopping to speak quietly with each. You are brave. You are strong. Humanity's heart beats within you. Do not let fear rule you. Fight. Not just for yourselves, but for everyone who believes in what we are. The swarm was ruthless. Alien vessels tore through human ships, their weapons precise and deadly. Explosions rocked the fleet and cries of the wounded echoed through the corridors. Yet the humans pressed on. Even when the odds seemed insurmountable, even when the loss of friends and comrades weighed heavily, they refused to falter. On the bridge, Miko spoke, voice trembling. Captain, the flagship's weapons are focused on us. If we don't take it down, we'll be destroyed. Ilara's eyes narrowed. Then we take it down. No hesitation. Humanity survives by daring to do what others cannot. Prepare the strike. Every ship, every crew, every human heart, united in one purpose. The human fleet surged forward, sacrificing speed and safety for precision. Ships collided with enemy vessels. Torpedoes detonated in perfect synchrony, and pilots executed maneuvers that seemed impossible. Humanity's desperation became its strength, its creativity a weapon more deadly than any cannon. The cost was high. Human ships fell, crews were lost, and the bridge shook as yet another explosion tore through a nearby vessel. Yet with every loss, the surviving humans fought harder, inspired by the bravery of those who had given everything. Sacrifice became a spark, and determination burned brighter than fear. Ilara looked out at the stars, blackened by battle yet lit with flashes of fire. Her heart ached for those lost, but pride surged through her. Humanity had stood against the impossible alone and had refused to break. She clenched her fists. We are humanity. We may be battered, we may be alone, but we are unyielding. And as long as we draw breath, we fight. We survive. We stand. The fleet pressed on, undeterred by the carnage around them. In every human mind burned the same truth. They might be abandoned by allies, outnumbered by enemies, and surrounded by darkness, but humanity would not surrender. And as the Aegis led a daring assault on the swarm's formations, one fact became clear to everyone in that fleet of brave souls. Alone, humanity was not weak. Alone, humanity was unstoppable. The battle had raged for days, yet neither side could claim victory. The human fleet was battered, their ships scarred by relentless fire, their crews exhausted, but their spirit remained unbroken. Captain Ilara Vance stood on the bridge of the Aegis, eyes fixed on the massive shadow of the swarm flagship looming ahead. Its black hull shimmered with alien energy, and its weapons glared like stars of death. Captain, Lieutenant Miko said, voice tight with tension, the flagship is centralizing power. If we don't act soon, the rest of the swarm will be unstoppable. Ilara's jaw tightened. Then we strike now. Every ship, every fighter, every human heart, focus on the core. Humanity survives because we dare when others falter. Humanity survives because we fight together. The fleet surged forward like a single entity, human ingenuity and bravery guiding every move. The smaller, faster ships weaved through enemy fire, while the larger vessels delivered crushing volleys of plasma. Explosions rippled across the void, sending debris spinning like deadly stars. In the engineering bay, Chief Engineer Rena barked orders as sparks flew from overloaded circuits. Shields at 20%. Weapon systems at maximum output. We cannot hold this much longer. Then we make every shot count. Ilara shouted over the comms. Focus fire on the flagship. Strike where it cannot defend itself. The human fleet coordinated with precision, their desperation transforming into an advantage. They had no allies, no safety net, only courage, creativity, and a willingness to sacrifice everything for survival. Human pilots executed maneuvers that defied logic, drawing enemy ships into traps while torpedoes and plasma blasts tore through the swarm. Aboard the Aegis, Ilara directed a daring boarding team. They would infiltrate the swarm flagship itself, the heart of the enemy force. Lieutenant Kara led the squad, moving through corridors filled with alien machinery and grotesque creatures. Humans improvised with everything at their disposal, tools, weapons, and sheer determination. Each step forward was a risk, but each step was a victory against the impossible. Outside, the human fleet battered the flagship relentlessly. Every strike weakened its defenses, every human life risking everything for the chance to survive. The swarm faltered, disoriented by the sheer unpredictability of human tactics. They had faced thousands of species before, but none like humans, who were clever, reckless, fearless, and unrelenting. Hours passed like minutes. Explosions tore through the flagship and fires flared across its hull. The human boarding team fought with unmatched courage, sabotaging G-core systems and redirecting power to weaken the vessel from within. On the bridge, Alara watched, heart pounding. The flagship shuddered, sparks flying from its hull, weapons failing one by one. Humanity's relentless determination had turned the tide. "Captain?" Miko breathed, astonished. "They're faltering. The flagship, it's breaking apart." Alara allowed herself a small nod, though exhaustion and fear lingered. "Then we finish this. Humanity does not yield. Humanity survives because we refuse to surrender. Strike with everything you have." The fleet pressed the attack, a storm of courage and ingenuity crashing against the once unassailable enemy. The swarm flagship exploded in a blinding flash, fragments scattering across the void. The remaining swarm vessels, leaderless and disoriented, began to retreat. Humanity had done the impossible. Against overwhelming odds alone, they had forced the enemy back. Alara turned to her crew, her voice strong yet filled with emotion. "Look around you. We are battered. We are exhausted, but we are still here. Humanity stands. Alone if we must, but we stand. And the galaxy will remember this day." Around her, the crew cheered, tears mixing with soot and sweat. They had survived, not because of allies, not because of overwhelming firepower, but because they were human, clever, brave, and unbroken. Humanity had carved a path through impossible odds, and the galaxy would never forget it. Even in the darkness of space, even against enemies that seemed unstoppable, the humans had proven one undeniable truth. No matter how alone they were, humanity would fight and humanity would survive. The void was quiet now, broken only by the scattered wreckage of the shadow swarm. The human fleet drifted among the debris, battered, scorched, but alive. Captain Alara Vance stood on the bridge of the Aegis, her eyes tracing the distant stars. Each flash of light reminded her of the cost, the lives lost, the ships destroyed, but also of the courage that had carried humanity through the impossible. Lieutenant Miko broke the silence. "Captain, the enemy is retreating. They're leaving the system." Alara nodded slowly, allowing herself a moment to breathe. "Yes, they are leaving. But not because we were many. Because we were human. Because we refused to surrender." Across the fleet, crews stepped onto the decks, rubbing exhausted eyes, hugging comrades, and tending to the wounded. The silence of victory felt strange, heavy with grief and relief. Humanity had survived, but the cost was written in every scarred hull, every missing ship, every tear-streaked face. Alara moved among her crew, her voice carrying quietly yet firmly. "Look at what we have done. Not with allies, not with reinforcements. We did this ourselves. Alone we fought, and alone we survived. That is the truth of who we are. Humanity never bends. Humanity never breaks." The crew looked at her, understanding, their eyes reflecting the fire of defiance that had kept them alive. They had been abandoned by friends, doubted by allies, underestimated by the galaxy, and yet they had risen above it all. Alara turned back to the viewing port, her gaze fierce. "If the galaxy believes we cannot stand alone, let this be our answer. If every hand is turned away, we will raise our own. If every star turns dark, we will shine brighter. Let the universe know. Then humanity stands alone." Her words echoed across the fleet, through every ship, every deck, every human heart. And as they spoke them, a strange, powerful thing happened. Exhaustion melted into pride. Grief transformed into resolve. Fear gave way to determination. Humanity was not just alive. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species no one could abandon or ignore. Medical teams worked tirelessly, rescuing the injured from destroyed ships. Engineers patched what they could, cannibalizing wrecks to repair others. Pilots checked their ships ready to defend against any counterattack. Humanity's recovery was swift, driven by determination and unbreakable spirit. Alara's voice softened, almost a whisper to herself, yet carrying through the comms. We fought not because we had to, but because we could. We fought because humanity cannot be broken, not by fear, not by death, not by betrayal. Alone or together, we endure. Aboard the Aegis, the crew stood in silence for a moment, letting the truth of those words sink in. Each human knew they had done the impossible. Each knew that the galaxy had underestimated them, and that mistake would never be repeated. As the swarm retreat faded into the distance, Ilara allowed herself a rare smile. She looked at the stars, at the ships battered but still flying, at the humans who had fought with every ounce of courage they possessed. "We may be alone, yes," she said softly, "but we are stronger than any enemy. Stronger than doubt, stronger than fear. We are humanity, and humanity stands." In that moment, the fleet understood it fully. Alone, they were not powerless. Alone, they were not defeated. Alone, they were unstoppable. The galaxy had tested them, abandoned them, and yet they had risen. Humanity had declared its truth, and the universe would never forget it. Captain Ilara Vance turned from the viewing port, her eyes meeting the tired, determined faces of her crew. "Rest if you must," she said, voice gentle but unwavering. "But remember this always, we survived. We fought, we stood, and no matter what comes next, humanity stands alone, and we will never fall." And somewhere in the infinite dark, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, reflecting the fire of a species that refused to be broken. Humanity's declaration echoed across the void, an unshakable truth for all who dared to witness it. Even alone, humanity endures. The battle had ended, but its echoes would linger forever. Across the void, shattered swarm ships drifted like broken promises, silent testaments to the ferocity of humanity. The human fleet, battered and burned, glided through the debris, each ship carrying its own scars, each crew member carrying memories of bravery, loss, and triumph. Captain Ilara Vance stood on the bridge of the Aegis, gazing out at the remnants of the battlefield. Her heart was heavy with grief for those who had fallen, yet swelled with pride for the unyielding courage of the survivors. Humanity had faced the impossible. Alone, abandoned by every ally, they had endured. They had fought not just for survival, but for their place in the galaxy. Lieutenant Miko, standing beside her, broke the silence. "Captain, the other civilizations, they're beginning to communicate. Messages of astonishment, they're acknowledging us." Ilara turned to him, her eyes fierce. "Acknowledgement? They abandoned us when we needed them most. Let them see now what they left behind. Let them remember humanity." Across the fleet, crews repaired ships, tended the wounded, and shared quiet moments with comrades. Tears mixed with sweat and soot. Laughter mingled with grief. The human spirit, though battered, shone brighter than ever. Every sacrifice, every act of courage, every life lost, and every life saved had shaped them into something extraordinary. Ilara raised her voice over the comms, addressing the entire fleet. "People of humanity, hear me. We were abandoned. We were doubted. But we stood. Alone if we had to, and alone we fought. Every enemy we faced, every obstacle we overcame, every life we risked, and every ship we saved. It was because we are human, and humanity never bends. Humanity never breaks." Her words rippled across the fleet, igniting pride, hope, and unity in every heart. The humans who had once felt fear now felt power, the raw, undeniable power of a species that refused to be broken. In the vast silence of space, Ilara knew this was more than a battle. It was a declaration, a warning, a promise. Humanity had proven that even without allies, even against insurmountable odds, they could not be destroyed. They could endure, adapt, and rise. The galaxy would remember this day, not as a tale of defeat, but as a legend of resilience. Ilara walked among her crew, shaking hands, offering quiet words of comfort and praise. She saw tears in the eyes of engineers, pilots, medics, and soldiers alike. They had survived. They had triumphed. They had stood alone, and in doing so had become something greater than any one person or ship. From the bridge, she looked out at the stars, now calm and still after the storm of war. "We may be few," she whispered, "but we are humans. Alone if we must, yet stronger than any enemy. The galaxy may have doubted us, left us to face darkness, but we endured. We triumphed, and we will continue to endure. The legend of humanity would spread across the stars, whispered in awe and respect by civilizations that had once walked away. They would tell the story of a species abandoned yet unstoppable, a species whose courage and ingenuity defied the impossible. Humanity's name would become synonymous with defiance, with hope, and with the indomitable will to survive. Alara turned to her crew one final time, her voice filled with quiet power. Remember this day. Remember who we are. The universe may try to break us, may try to underestimate us, but humanity stands alone, and humanity stands eternal. A gentle cheer rose from the fleet, carried through the void as a symbol of triumph. Alone they had survived. Alone they had fought. Alone they had shown the galaxy the true meaning of strength, resilience, and hope. Humanity had declared its truth, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter in response. In that vast, endless galaxy, humanity had become more than a species. They had become a legend, alone, unbroken, and eternal.